Hello there, welcome to Painting with Jasmine Rempel Art. Today I am going to make two bookmarks, and they're going to have birch trees and little birds on them. I think it's going to be a chickadee and a cardinal, but we'll see. I have already sketched out the birch trees, and I've sketched out the idea of a little horizon line. And my first step is going to be to apply masking fluid to cover the white of my birch trees and the white of my birds. That way I can begin to apply a background color. So here I go. I am starting with a number 4 round, and I'm getting it wet, and I'm going to rub it around in my ivory soap. I use the soap to protect the bristles of my brush. The masking fluid will still do its job on the paper, while the bristles of my brush are protected from the gummy residue. Okay. Basically, I'm just going to paint the masking fluid on. The tree lines I have are rather wobbly in a sense. I don't want my trees to look completely uniform. Yet they are narrowing slightly as they go up. Cleaning my brush now and getting more masking fluid. More ivory soap. Now more masking fluid. And I'm moving into my second tree. Clean off my brush again. More soap, more masking fluid. Now I have branches going off to the side, yet I am not planning to mask out those branches. I'm planning to apply black or a Payne's gray to the branches. Often with birch trees, the branches they're black looking. All right, I'm ready to begin my next one. And then I'm ready to begin the birds. I'll put that on time lapse. Okay, I have applied the masking fluid to both bookmarks, and I have washed my brushes. I ended up using a number 2 round for the little birds. And now I'm ready to put a wash into the background. And to do that, I have here a number 12 round, and I'm just going to get the background wet, and I'm going to apply a wet on wet wash. Now I have here a bit of a horizon line I'm imagining that these are on a slight incline. And another one here. So I will save this for snow and this as well. Okay. So my brush is now soaked with water. Just make sure my tape is nice and well fastened. And here I go. I have some colors ready. I'm planning to apply Cobalt Blue with some Payne's Gray to the background of this bookmark, and some Ultramarine Blue with some Payne's Gray for this one. I've saturated my bookmark. I'm using Arch's cold pressed watercolor paper, and I can see a nice sheen all over the paper, which means it is nice and saturated. This is my Cobalt Blue, and I'm just going to create a nice little puddle, and I'll pick that up with my brush and begin tapping it into the sky. I think it will be a daytime. And I'm going to add some moisture to my Payne's Gray. And it's quite a diluted mix, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that gray here and there, just to add some variation to the sky. All right, I'll just pick up some of the paint from the edge with a tissue. Good. All right, that's good. I'll do the same thing for this one with French Ultramarine. My paints are Windsor Newton watercolor paints, professional level. You can also use a student level and enjoy similar effects. I've often used Cotman, Windsor Newton Cotman. When I was first starting out, I used that. Now I've purchased some of the professional, and I prefer the quality of the professional level paints. Okay, this is my ultramarine. Adding some water. There we go. I like to try different colors. Which is why I've decided to do the Cobalt Blue and the French Ultramarine, just to see the difference between the two when I'm done. And again, I'm going to take some Payne's Gray with some water, dilute it, and add a bit of gray to the sky. Okay. Now I'll let these dry and then I'll begin to apply some other colors to the birch trees and birds and a little bit of shadowing in the snow. Okay, I added some kosher salt to the bookmark on the left. When the background was still damp, I sprinkled salt, and I also used my number 2 brush to get a mixture of white gouache on the brush, and I splatter painted that white gouache on. So this one has more of a snow look. I'm going to use my rubber cement right now to remove the masking fluid and the salt. Of course, my background is completely dry before I use the rubber cement. Oops, let's set that up again. There we go. If you don't have a rubber cement square, you could also use just your finger. Right, that's quite pretty. Now it's time to paint the trees. So I'm going to be mostly experimenting as I'm painting the trees because I haven't painted birch trees in watercolor before. I've done lots with acrylic. Watercolor will be new for me. So I have here, I still have my original colors: Cobalt Blue, Payne's Gray, Ultramarine. I have a little bit of Windsor Purple here. Here I have some raw umber, a little bit of Alizarin Crimson, and some burnt umber. I may use them all, I might not. The first thing that I'm going to do is to wet the background, to wet these trees. Being careful to try to stay within the white spaces as I go down the white space. And there we go. This will go into the snow. Okay, now I'm going to wet some of this raw umber. And I'm just going to tap in some colors here and there, rather randomly, down the tree. And then I'm going to do the same with the burnt umber. Let's add little touches of color, letting them bleed out. I'm using my number 4 round right now. And now I'm going to use my Payne's gray. And I'm taking the Alizarin Crimson, just tapping a couple of, little bit here and there. And some purple as well. And at the bottom, I will pull that out a bit. Okay. Do a little bit of blending. Nice. I'm going to lift out a little bit of white. To do that, I've got my number 2 brush wet, rubbing and lifting, rubbing and lifting, rubbing and lifting. Again, it's wet. The brush just has water, rubbing and lifting. Good. Okay. Now that tree is looking pretty fun. Feel like I'd like a few more lighter spaces here. And maybe right here. There we go. Right, same thing with this tree. What I will do is I will do all of these trees similar on time lapse. Okay, so here we have some pretty exciting looking trees. I put on these ones the warm colors on the left side and the cooler colors more dominant on the right side. And then I created a cast shadow using Payne's gray and a little bit of purple. And so now this is dry, and so I have my number 2 round again. And I'm just going into my Payne's gray. I'm just going to make a few marks with the Payne's gray. It's quite dark. Just tap it a little with this. Good. Sometimes these trees have this look of an eye, a bleeding eye, so I'm kind of attempting to do a little bit of that and just trying to let my brush be loose and just generally make marks. A little bit of the purple, same thing. Yeah, texture and mark here and there. Okay, nice. All right. I think right here, I'm just going to lighten up this area by rubbing a wet brush back and forth and then lifting some of the color. It doesn't seem to want to lift too much, but a little bit. All right, that's good. Now, what I'm going to do is create some of my branch shapes. I'm going to use my rigger brush for that and go right into the Payne's Gray. And I'm just going to make some marks, twisting my brush a little. This bird is resting on a branch, so I need to get one under him. There we go. That looks good. I think I'll stop there. And now I'm going to add a little bit of shading to the snow. I'll have a little bit of purple with a little bit of the Payne's Gray together. I'm just twisting my brush here and there, running it along. Maybe a little bit of that Cobalt Blue in there as well. Adding some water, letting that bleed out a little. There we go. And might even tap. Nice. I feel that I need to emphasize this shadow area a little more. And this as well. Not sure that I love that. I'm actually going to lift some of it. There we go. Bleed that out. Nice. Looks like a little bit of snow buildup here. Good. Okay, so now I want to paint the bird. And I do have this Alizarin Crimson here, so why don't I make this a Cardinal? It's a nice bright color. It'll really stand out, this bright Alizarin Crimson. Good. And then once it's dry, I'll add a bit of yellow for the beak. Pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same here with my line making, using my number 2 again in my Payne's Gray. Now I want to be mindful of the light that's coming on this side. Okay, and again, I'm trying not to think about this too much. I'm simply making marks up the birch tree. Then I'll dab and lighten it up in some areas. In the odd place I would like to have that look of the eye. Good. Same thing. I don't want it uniform. And some purple. Almost looks like calligraphy. Oh, that's bright. Lighten that up a bit. Okay. And my rigger brush. Put some branches with Payne's Gray. And I just touch the edge and twist the brush a little and bring it out. I need one under this sweet little bird. Let it run up. I feel like I want to lift off this area here. Blend that out, how about? That's better. Let's let that branch be coming right out of the center of the tree there. Good. Nice. Back to my rigger brush, back in my Payne's Gray. And just let it twist and turn so that these branches are nice and gnarly. Don't want to overdo them. Maybe one down lower. Let it bleed into here. Just water there. A little bit darker, some areas. Okay. Nice. Now in my cast shadow here, I want to get very diluted Payne's Gray, a bit of purple, and I want to give the illusion of some of these branches as well. There we go. Okay, now I want to do my Cardinal. I have my round number 2, and it has a fine enough tip that it will work for me for what I need here. Good. Right, now this one is dry, so I'm going to use my raw umber for the yellow for its beak. There we go. Good. And then I want a very small brush, so I'm reaching here for, this is 000 round. And, oops, I knocked my camera, sorry. I'm just gonna go in and fix that beak a little. I should let you get a little closer here. I'm gonna zoom in for you. And I'm going into my Payne's Gray to add the little black parts of the beak, or of the bird, just around the beak there. Nice. All right, same thing for the next bird. Let me bring you into that area. And tapping in a little bit of that yellowish color. And picking up some Payne's Gray. Add a little bit there and there. There we go. That looks like a cardinal. Right. Pretty. I think these are done. I think they're really sweet. I'm going to sign them. I really like the shadowing on this one. I feel it's pretty stark white over here, so just before I sign it, I'm going to add some of this nice shadow color and just in the odd place. There we go. It could be anything. Another tree, whatever it is. It just adds a little more interest and it's not so stark white. The birds, I feel like I want to, I'm going to put a little bit of Payne's Gray into some of this Alizarin Crimson, and I'm just going to run that along the back of the bird here, and then let it run out a bit, just to give the impression of a little bit of shading. Same thing here. And cleaning my brush and letting it blend out a little. Good. And the next thing I want to do is to add a little wing. Now that's wet, I just touched it, so I just touched it with paint, so I don't want to put the wing on yet, or it will, the color will bleed. Still damp, so I will sign it first. Forgive my in and out. Okay, I think I will sign this with just Payne's Gray. JR Jasmine Rempel. JR. And while I'm waiting for these to dry for the wing, I'm going to just lift off the tape and we'll have a little look. I'm still learning to use video. This is my 11th tutorial, so that's why you are going in focus and out of focus and near and far. Thanks for being patient. Wow, that is so pretty. I just love it. And lifting. This is Painter's white tape. I find it works very well to save borders and hold down my watercolor pieces. I just order sets from Amazon. Okay, let's zoom in and do the birds, and then that will be it. Let's see how close I can get you. There we go. I have my 000 round brush, and I'm getting a little tiny bit of Payne's gray, and I'm just going to show a wing, as simple as that. And I'll do the same thing with this one. A little bit of Payne's gray. Little wing. All right, let's look at both the bookmarks together. How beautiful. These would make really nice Christmas gifts for the readers in your family, in your life. If you wanted, you could use white gouache and do some splattering. And I think I'll do that. This is white permanent gouache, and I'm getting it wet with my number 2 round, and I'm just going to tap. On this one. Add a little more snow. I could even add some to the top of the branches, but I'm not going to. I'm going to call this good. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I love to paint, and I'm glad you're enjoying painting with me. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, and please share a picture with me. You can, if you were inspired by this tutorial, you can find me on Instagram, Jasmine Rempel Art, or I have a website for my acrylic paintings, Jasmine Rempel Art. Until next time, happy creating.